Hey guys, welcome back. It was in fact Solar Fleet who knocked Shadow Cartel out of the tournament. Solar Fleet, well known throughout the EVE universe. Yes. However, the next match is going to be between End of Life and Templis CALSF. If we look at the teams they brought yesterday, End of Life brought 2 Nighthawks, 2 Vultures, a Basilisk, 2 Raptors, a Griffin and 2 Merlins. So an all-in Caldari team, very commandship heavy. We tend to see the Caldari commandships less than the Minmatar ones. Perhaps we can comment on that in a moment. But first, let's see what Templis CALSF brought. They brought a Balgorn, a Damnation, in fact 2 Damnations, and a Neros, 2 Svipples, 2 Confessors, and 2 Purifiers. Jim, why don't you start us off by talking about how the Caldari commandships compare to the Minmatar ones?
Yeah, the Caldari commandships have some real big issues compared to them. First of all, they don't get a bonus to skirmish links that in such a very constrained format are incredibly useful. And whilst they do get a bonus to info links, which can allow you to use your evil more effectively, you generally can't make them armor, which kind of negates the effect, basically.
Well, so Rocket X, on the other side, for the Templis CALSF team, we saw that Balgorn, so popular this weekend, with double Damnation. That's quite unusual. Tell us a little bit about the Damnation hull and what it's good at and what it's not so good at.
Well, I mean, on TQ, you'll generally see the Damnation used in larger fights because it is just purely a huge brick of a tank. It's very, very hard to kill, very difficult to alpha through. So you tend to see them in large fleet fights, normally flown by FCs. In a tournament, like we were saying earlier, the EOS tends to be favourable. The slot layout and the fitting on it gives you a bit more flexibility in terms of fitting links. I'm curious to see what they're doing with these Damnations. It is possible that they've got links on both of them and that they've tried to fit them for damage or to provide some form of utility with the mid slots. It's not uncommon to see E-War on the mid slots of command ships in tournaments. So it is highly likely that that's what they've done. But I don't really think that they're going to add a lot in terms of damage. Despite the fact they have a couple of battleships on the team, I'd be skeptical as to whether they're going to have enough punch to get through the opposing team.
Well, we are now going to go over to the casters for this match between End of Life and Templis CALSF, so let's go watch that game.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Elimination Round, Day 2 of Alliance Tournament 14. I am Elise Randolph, joined by Reload, whatever. I call him Reload. His name's actually Reload. But we've got Brothers in Arms, nope. We've got Templis CALSFs.
Versus
in a very
End of Life.
strange, yeah, versus End of Life, in a very interesting setup with Augur Navy issues supported by Typhoon Fleet issues and some Blackbird cores with Frigate Logi in the form of Deacons. Reload, tell me about the other team.
Well, End of Life have brought like I guess a semi-standard shield core with dual Sleipnir Claymore with Bassi. Pretty interesting to slip a Cyclone in there. So I think that's the first Cyclone we've seen in the tournament. Supported with a standard 2 Sweepole and a Bomber, and they've also brought Breaches as well. So pretty interesting support wing, and as well as a Cyclone. It'll be pretty interesting to see what they'll do against this this pretty standard TFI core. But Navy Augurs are renowned to be extremely tanky.
So I was going to ask you about that. Do you think the Navy Augurs are just going to be like durable tackle? Is that what their role is here?
They already have 3 mids, so I'm not really confident in their tackling abilities. They might have a Scram, maybe a Web. I do see they are actually pulse fit, so with the Purity skin, so pulse fit. So they are going to be brawling, so they do have a lot of armor HP, so they could be rocking pulses with maybe 2 medium newts and a cap booster maybe, so yeah.
Do you think we'll see a polarized Navy Augur setup coming from these guys? It's a kind of popular niche setup on TQ. The Navy Augur does get a really strange bonus that most ships do not get with just raw hit points.
I don't think they'll bring polarized, just because like polarized in general is a really super all in and not really worth it on AT because you need the tank basically. Because they do have the Deacons and the Astarte for the links as well. So if they were gonna bring polarized, just go away with the links and just go with blasters.
Well, they are out front. We'll see if they act as a screen from this End of Life team who are rushing in right now.
They're actually rushing in. Are these AC Sleipnirs? Let's find out. They are in fact auto cannon Slepners. Yeah, they are brawling in. They are AC Slep, so this is a Minmatar Rush setup versus the Typhoon Core.
Nice. Let's see what these Navy Augurs do if they can screen off any of these Sleipnirs. If they can catch these Sleipnirs and hold them off for a little while, they will be good to go. But these Typhoon Fleet issues are just sitting right in the middle of the arena. It looks like End of Life is going for a Deacon first.
I mean,
Or
it's
at least their Fipples are, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Breachers.
It'll be pretty interesting if the Blackbirds can actually get the jams off the Sweeples and the Bassi. He is trying to get the Bassi now. Scram Grappler on the Slepner.
Oh,
So
yep, the Sleipnir has been tackled by
both
one of
Sleps
these
have
Fleet
been-
Typhoons.
both Sleps have been tackled. Yeah.
But this is exactly where they want to be. It's not like they got screened off or anything. They just want to. They just want to be inside, owning face.
Oh yeah, definitely. They've actually been untackled, so they actually probably like coasted out of the tier 5 range of their tackle, and they're just They're just going straight rushing. They are trying to kill these deacons, but they seem to be repping just fine. And the Bassi actually got
Lord.
caught.
The Bassi just got grappled. The Bassi just got grappled by the End of Life team. He was way too close.
Yeah,
for
way too
some
close.
reason.
He's neutered now as well.
Oh my god, both teams going for the Logi of one another. But if Temple CALSFs can kill the End of Life Logi, that'll be a huge, huge boon to them. 15 points for a Basilisk, only 10 points for this thing, and
also
one
lost their
Breacher just
Breacher
goes
as
down
well,
on the
yeah.
backside there.
So the question is if this Bassi can survive long enough for them to kill the 2 deacons and Blackbird, which seems to be taking damage now. They seems to be turning off the deacons and going for the much weaker Blackbird, and it seems to be working, trying to get rid of the control off the Basilisk of the
That's
End of
one
Life.
Blackbird down.
There's one Blackbird,
by
yeah.
End of Life. Good target on that. But the Basilisk is out of ASV charges. He's going to go down
Yep, he's
to these
down.
Fleet Typhoons.
And I mean, I don't think it's a worthy trade for a Blackbird and a Bassi. I think Templis have definitely got the upper hand on that trade, and their deacons are still alive as well.
If the Deacons are still alive and kicking, they do need to be close to the action to save, but these ships all have a really good buffer. End of Life going for that last Blackbird. Really need Pretty Hair to die there.
Yep. It looks like the Templis are actually going to go for the support of End of Life. That's a good choice, trying to kill the high DPS, low EHP setup. Hound now is going to go die soon. Sweeples are also jammed, and Slepner, it is also tackled.
So
But it's
these
Blackboard,
Augur
though.
Navy issues are the ones that are going around ravaging the support wing. It's really funny to see. Generally
Yeah.
you see like Confessors or Swiffles doing this work, but nope, Augur Navy issue, just this big slow cruiser running around tackling Hounds and Breachers.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how these Navy Augurs, which are not very fast, I see one going almost 1.5k when these Breachers, Hounds, and Sweeples just go almost twice as fast as that. Maybe they might be cutting off, or they're just not paying attention. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it's
it
not
looks like
something you see, you
yeah,
expect,
that's
right?
it, yeah.
And it looks
Surprisingly
like-
fast.
Yeah, this Breacher is taking a little bit of damage, and so is a Swipple from these Navy Augurs. And the main damage from the Temple CALSF team is going on to General Vakot's Slepnir. You
Yep.
can see that Slepnir is ASB charging, so he's going to
Mhm.
tank for a little while at least. He's gone through 1 or 2 charges, and it looks like the Temple CALSF team is on reload right now.
Oh yeah, and the Swivel down on the End of Life side. But if I actually zoomed in on one of the deacons, and holy moly, so many Harmer rep bots. I assume like every single person on the Tempest CALSF side actually has rep bots in their drone bay. Their Starlight has drone blade, Fleet Typhoon have drone blade, because right now that one of their deacons is just surrounded by loads of rep bots. So I'm not surprised that it's tanking so easily.
Yeah, and maybe that's one of the choices for the Navy Augur as well. It does give 3 small drones, so 3 little light rep bots on a Deacon. The Deacon has an incredibly tiny signature, especially with I'm sure this Astartes is running
Signaling,
links for it as well. So these ships are hard to tackle. If you do not have webs and painters, you're not going to be getting good tackles on this. So even the small drones offer a lot of rep power for these guys.
Yeah, and this is a very much a traditional Rush versus the Typhoon Core, and unfortunately, the Rush setup just didn't really work out. They tried to go for a Deacon, but it just like survived just from the sheer amount of rep bots. What the End of Life support should be doing, especially the Sweeples, should just kill rep bots. That would have probably been its best bet. Try and get rid of those rep bots, because the Bassi just only has a certain amount of time before it's going to die. It doesn't have any sustain because of obviously XLASB.
Yeah, but we were just mentioning in the previous match how important it is for the support wings to kill these rep bots, and that's what we see a lot of the higher tier teams doing, because they know how big of a threat these little rep bots can be. They seem innocuous, 1 or 2 of them, but when you've got a swarm of them, they do so much work. as End of Life just had to witness firsthand. And they can't kill red bots anymore because their Swivel's dead.
Yeah, it looks like it's End of Life, Sleipnir's and Claymore versus almost the entirety of the Templis team. So it's just End of Life is just going to get cleaned up by Caldari right now. Tier 5 taking some damage, but he's going to get wrapped by the Deacons just fine.
The Blackbirds look like they served their purpose. They soaked up a lot of damage and bought the Temple CALSF team a lot of time to position themselves well. These Navy Augurs and one Confessor were able to do quite a bit of work, winning the support war single-handedly. Well, I guess tri-handedly.
Yeah, and I'm pretty surprised that those Blackbirds actually took a hell of a long time to die, despite being not really an armor tanking ship. Only has 3 lows, so I'm really surprised how 2 Sleipnirs, Claymores, Feeples, and a Cyclone managed to like not even almost break a Blackbird. So maybe they weren't all on top of it. Maybe they were actually getting screened by the Ogre Navy issues and the TFIs.
Well, good job for Temple CALSF. They will continue on in the Alliance Tournament. We will see them later on. And End of Life will be eliminated. They are out of Alliance Tournament 14. I'm sure there can be some really great puns that CCV Logibro will be able to make about that one.
Oh, yeah.
But for now, I'm Elise Randolph and Reload, sending you back to the studio with Apophany and the boys, and also a really ridiculous hat.
Come on, all right, everybody. That's what I'm talking about, guys. We've made a great effort so far. Let's just keep it up.
That's right! We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure. We've come too far. There's too much to lose. We've got to just keep...
Hey guys, welcome back to day 2 of Alliance Tournament 14 with Jintan, Rocket X, and myself, Apophany. We just saw a great match there between Templis CALSF and End of Life. End of Life's Mimitar command ships not being enough to break the battleship core of Templis. Now, Jintan, we saw in that match Navy Augurs, which I personally think are a fantastic little ship. Tell us a little bit about them.
Well, the Navy Augurs get a similar bonus to that of the Damnation we talked about earlier, getting a bonus to overall armor hit points. And this means that you can fit an incredibly large amount of buffer on them without having to sacrifice too many low slots for it, letting you fit a bit more damage and also not constraining your fitting too heavily, as obviously they have a bonus to their guns, letting them only fit 3. That gives you plenty of room to fit things in your highs and mids for control. So you can fit newts, you can fit cap boosters, you can fit remote sensor boosters for your logistics. And all of that bundles together into a nice little package that for only 9 points is quite a steal.
Yeah, they're surprisingly fast as well. Now, Rocket, in that match, we saw triple command ship going up against a battleship core there. Obviously, in this case, the command ship's lost. Do you have a preference for seeing command ship cores versus battleship cores? How do you think the two compare?
I'd rather go, to be honest, with battleships. Command ships kind of are halfway between the problems of a cruiser, where you have less DPS and you can't apply it that well in terms of range, unless you go with, obviously, artilleries in the case of Sleipnirs. Battleships, you're not going to have that problem. You're going to be able to sit where you are. You have a little mobility, and you can punch out a lot of damage to range. I know we've discussed before this match, actually, that we doubted whether the command ships would have the DPS and the punching power to get through the battleships of an opposing team, and in this case it turned out to be true.
Seeing the return of logistics frigates as well, Jin, they're proving to be very popular this tournament. I really quite like seeing that we do have this very much switch up in what support people bring. Previous Alliance tournaments where you had your T2 logistics, you had your command ship, and then you added things to that comp. Whereas now it's much more fluid. Are there any archetypes that you've seen emerging that you're a big fan of, particularly?
As far as archetypes, we've seen a kind of resurgence of ECM, and that's kind of weird. We were seeing a lot of ECM bans earlier on in the tournament. In fact, we think that the Kitsune and the Blackbird were used very interchangeably to kind of keep that down, but now we've gotten later in the tournament, people have needed to ban out other things like the Aneros and more notably some support things like the rogue composition, basically. Ships, things like the Megathron Navy issue, that can defeat one particular setup very, very well, but aren't good against anything else.
So with that match done, we are going to bring you the next match, which is going to be Galaxy Spiritus versus Ministry of Inappropriate Footwork. We'll have a few things to say about that after these messages.